The White House and President Joe Biden saying now is the time to pass more stimulus right now. We need to send out child tax credit stimulus checks to families before the new Congress rolls in the new year. So they're trying to get this done at this time and slip this in to the omnibus government funding bill, which we're also hearing they're trying to do an extension because they are not ready. There is a lot going on right now with Congress, legislation, stimulus. I'm going to get you caught up on the latest. This is your stimulus check update. Now, take a look at these headlines coming out, you guys. Congress prepares a resolution for 1 week of funding to avoid a government shutdown, as they're saying they're not ready, but they're going to get this done. And take a look. There's a lot of spending that is proposed. Schumer expects 1 year government funding bill to include Ukrainian funding and vote reform. I'm going to give you all the details, and I've got video footage from Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer for you from yesterday so you can hear it directly from him. And also take a look. White House reportedly signals it would accept work requirements in child tax credit revival. They're saying bring back those stimulus checks, send them out to parents. They need it at this time. We need to fight childhood poverty, and we need to get it done right now before the new Congress rolls in. So they're trying to do one last ditch effort to get this passed through. And I've let you know here on the channel, there's been tons of stimulus provisions that have been promised. Fourth $2,000 stimulus checks, child tax credit, Social Security increases of $200 per month, reform to the entire system, an extension of the solvency, free childcare, free college tuition, wiping out student loan debt. All of these have been promised, but what we've heard is all of those are likely going to get carried into next year and be negotiating pieces. But there's one that they're trying to get done right now that has come to the forefront, and it is these child tax credits to go out to parents. Now, we will see. I'll keep you up to date, but they're trying to slip this in a last-ditch effort. Now, let's dive into all the details. I'll let you know what's going on with this legislation, funding, stimulus. But before we do me a quick favor, smash the like button, subscribe to stay up to date. And also, thank you for all the support on my kids' channel, Liam and Naya. Naya just released a new video yesterday. I'm so proud of her. It was hilarious. It's the first in a series where she's playing with her American Girl dolls. If you got little ones, I hope they enjoy it. Check it out if you haven't already. But with that being said, let's go ahead and dive into these articles. Let's start off with some video footage from the White House as they're urging congressional leaders, get this done now. Then we're going to take a look at some articles, and then you can hear directly from Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer saying they're going to get it done. Let's go ahead and take a look.
I just wanted to get the White House's perspective on the current government funding talks. Schumer talked about doing a 1 week CR. Democrats were going to release their own legislation but held off. Does the White House see these as encouraging signs for being able to get a broad omnibus by the end of the month?
So look, we continue to encourage Congress to get a bipartisan deal done. We believe on the government funding, we believe there is still enough time to get that done. This is something that clearly Congress was able to do this time last year in a bipartisan way. But if they need extra days to get there, so be it. We got to remember, this is not a partisan issue. The issues that we are talking about, we talk about national security. We just had Jake Sullivan here, as I just noted a second ago. We talk about public education. We talking about health care. These are, and veteran health services, to be even more specific. These are priorities for the American people. These are bipartisan issues that are critical to American individuals just across the country. So again, we encourage Congress to reach a bipartisan deal.
They're trying to get it done, and take a look. Congress prepares resolution for 1 week of funding to avoid government shutdown. Now, the article says that lawmakers should prepare to act quickly to pass a resolution funding the federal government for 1 week as negotiators continue to work on a long-term spending bill, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer said on Monday yesterday. So they're kicking the can down the road, and stick with me. I've got an update for you just from this morning, less than an hour ago. Schumer described weekend talks over the funding package as positive and productive conversations, enough that both sides are moving forward to reach a deal, even if it's not going to have everything that both sides want. Congress finds itself in a familiar position from last year, facing a midnight Friday deadline to pass the spending bill to prevent partial government shutdown. A vote to fund the government for 1 week gives negotiators a little more time, but also pushes back the deadline to December 23rd, giving lawmakers more incentive to compromise as they face the prospect of being in Washington for the holidays. So unless they want to work through Christmas, They got to get this done. White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre, who we just heard from, said the Biden administration believes there is sufficient time for Congress to pass a funding measure. But she added, if they need extra days to get there, so be it, as they might need to kick the can down the road and get some more time to get it done. Now, the two parties are at odds mostly over how much should be allocated for non-defense spending in the next fiscal year. Republicans have argued that Democrats were already able to secure money for an array of healthcare and environmental priorities through previous party line voters. So they're saying the Democrats need to stop the spending. Senator Mitch McConnell said any final agreement needs to fund defense at the level written into a defense policy bill that passed the House last week at about $858 billion, and without lavishing extra funding beyond what President Joe Biden has requested on domestic programs. So they're saying you need to stop the excess spending because we have record high inflation. We don't need to hurt the economy anymore. Any spending that's done, it needs to be very specific. It needs to go out to certain things and no extra lavish spending that's going to be hurting our economy for no reason. Now, take a look at this, you guys. Schumer expects a year-long government funding bill to include Ukrainian funding vote reform. This updated just 26 minutes ago this morning with a report on what Schumer had to say. U.S. Senator Chuck Schumer, he said on Tuesday, this morning, that he expects a year-long government funding bill to include more funding for Ukraine and measures to reform the way Congress certifies presidential elections. The Senate will aim to vote on this bill to keep the federal government operating for 1 week past a Friday deadline as Democrats and Republicans bicker over a long-term measure likely to spend more than $1.5 trillion, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer said. So there is going to be more spending here on the way, and we don't have very many details at all as to all the things that are going to be included in this 1.5 trillion, but we are hearing, take a look at this, the White House is saying include stimulus for child tax credits, as the White House has reportedly signaled that it would accept work requirements in child tax credit revival. So they're saying bring it back, we need it, and include it in this bill to be done before the end of the year. Now, it says, in a last-ditch bid to revive the expanded child tax credit in some form, by year's end, the White House has reportedly suggested to congressional Democrats that it is willing to accept a compromise deal that adds more stringent work requirements to the anti-poverty program, a reversal of President Joe Biden's previous opposition to such restrictions, and a move that some progressives condemned. They said they did not want to have work requirements on this, but now they're saying they're willing to do it just in a means of a compromise to get this done and get it passed, get it included, get it out to the American people. Now, let me know your thoughts. There's arguments on both sides. They're saying there should be no work requirements to make sure that it goes out to those who need it the most. But there's some that argue if there's no work requirements, then people are simply going to get free money and there's going to be no incentive for them to try to work, get back into the workforce, and get back on their feet. Let me know your thoughts, you guys, but they're trying to slip this one in. But a lot of people are saying, why is this even the focus when there's so many people without children that are hurting, those on fixed incomes that need assistance? They're saying send out child tax credits, that's fine, but what about Social Security increases? What about stimulus checks? And maybe those should be the priority instead. Let me know your thoughts, you guys, but it looks like they're trying to include this in this bill to get done right now. Now, let's take a look at what Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer had to say on the Senate floor about all of this yesterday.
On the Omni, as we keep working on confirming more judges and advancing the defense authorization bill, both sides also continue not negotiating a deal for a year-long omnibus. Over the weekend, appropriators held positive and productive conversations, enough that both sides are moving forward in good faith to reach a deal, even if it's not going to be everything both sides want. Later this week, members should be prepared to take quick action on a CR, a 1-week CR, so we can give appropriators more time to finish a full funding bill before the holidays. I'm optimistic we could take action on a CR rather quickly and avoid the shutdown that neither side wants, and that is a 1-week CR. The benefits of an omnibus are as many as the number of citizens in America. All of us are better off when the government is fully equipped to provide vital services millions rely on. One group who very much needs an omnibus are our veterans. Last week, the VA wrote Congress a letter warning that a CR would mean a $10 billion shortfall for the VA. That means fewer healthcare workers on the job. It would mean a surge in the backlog of claims. And God forbid it would throw a wrench in the VA's plan to implement something we were also proud that we passed on a bipartisan basis this summer, the PACT Act. There is no reason we need to go down this road. The brave Americans who have served our country in uniform should never have to suffer the consequences of failing to fund the government. But unfortunately, that's the risk they face as of right now if we don't finish the job. So to all my colleagues, let's continue negotiations in good faith. Both sides are going to have to give in order to get it done. But it'll be worth it if it means doing right by our veterans, our service members in uniforms, our kids, their families. That's what's at stake here in this process to fund the government.
So there you have it. That was Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer on the Senate floor. You heard him mention veterans and also children, families. That's what's at stake if they don't get this done, he's saying, as they're trying to get these provisions included in this bill. Now, we will see. I'll keep you up to date. And also, we'll be seeing what's happening with stimulus checks, Social Security increases, all the other provisions, student loan debt forgiveness, SNAP, PEBT benefits. I'll keep you up to date here on the channel. And for the latest on Social Security benefits, be sure to check out this video right here as I give you updates as to reforms and changes that President Biden wants to make. But with that being said, you guys, thank you for joining me. Smash the like button, subscribe if you haven't already. Check out my kids' channel, Liam and Naya, and I'll catch you in the next one. Take care. God bless. This is Steve.